Hey everybody, I'm Shaheen Davari. I used to be the Bearded Prof, and I am stoked to be back here with another community call for Empty Set Share. We recently relaunched, and if you have no idea what Empty Set Share is or Empty Set Dollar is, it used to be an algorithmic stablecoin, and our V2 launch is a little bit different. And the way that it works is it is a two-token system. We have the seigniorage share and the stable unit. DSU, digital stable unit, is the stable asset that is traded for by depositing your USDC and getting DSU back at a rate of 1-to-1. You can then do all kinds of different things with your DSU, farm it, do whatever you want with it. And then what happens is there is empty set share, which is a second token that is associated with the same project. And the way that empty set share works is as the USDC that is deposited with empty set share is yield farmed, that yield is then used to purchase and burn empty set share, which is the seigniorage share. Some of you may be a little bit familiar with this, although the process is different from the way that Frax does things. It is similar. It certainly is comparable to the two-token system that Frax and others have used. There are some differences. Don't need to get too much into those differences right now. We certainly can ask questions about that later during community questions. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody's working from the same understanding. We are no longer an algorithmic stablecoin. We are now a two-token system. DSU being the stable instrument and ESS being the seigniorage share. Those of you that have not migrated your ESD, you certainly can still migrate. That contract will remain open for you. So if it's a month later and you're like, crap, I didn't migrate my ESD. Don't worry, don't stress. You still can migrate your ESD. You just need to follow the instructions. They're easy to find, easy to follow. They're in our Discord. They're in all the documentation. It's very easy to migrate your ESD to ESS. Doesn't matter if you're bonded, unbonded, whatever. All of the instructions are there. We thank you for sticking with us this long. We thank all of you that have come. We got over 25 people in here. So I really appreciate everybody that's shown up on their Monday morning to hear a little bit more about where we've been and where we're going. Without further ado, I will turn it over. First up, we have Kevin or Kay Brizzle from the team over at Equilibria to give us a breakdown of what exactly Equilibria is doing. I'm going to make you a co-host here, Kevin, and I'm also going to pin you for everyone to see.
Cool. Okay. Am I ready to go now?
Ready to go.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, I'm Kevin. I am part of a new team called Equilibria. And we are, I guess for lack of a better description, like a protocol shop. So we kind of do two things. We work with existing protocols. We do things, like you've seen in the empty set proposal. So feature additions, upgrades, cleanups, help with integrations, and just general governance work. And then we also build new protocols as well. So kind of like our high level. Oh, is there some echo there? Okay. Yeah. So kind of like our high level thesis in this is that we, instead of just building one DeFi protocol like a lot of teams, what we really want to do is kind of build like a whole stack that's really deeply integrated with each other. So we'll actually pick kind of like our favorite DeFi protocol of each primitive. So the ones that we're working with so far are empty set for stablecoin, and then compound and open as well for existing protocols. So generally, like if we're building a new protocol, if we're working with an existing one, and a stablecoin comes up that's needed like that, then empty set is the one that we would recommend or directly use if we are actually building the protocol. So we kind of have this like holistic approach to DeFi where we want to actually build like a whole really deeply connected stack instead of like one protocol. But yeah, it's like super high level, like what we're up to, kind of our approach, and yeah. So we'll be around. Like I said, we'll be helping out with upgrades. There's the incentivizer Uniswap V3 proposal that just went out that we're working on right now, and then we'll also be working on getting MPSet used by other protocols as well, alongside DeFi Pulse, which I'll probably hear from next.
I was muted. Thank you so much for the update, Kevin, and I look forward to what Equilibria can bring to MTSet here in the near future. I'm going to remove the pin and I'm going to move it over to Joe. Joe from DeFi Pulse is here to give us a breakdown on exactly what DeFi Pulse is up to and an overview of what the integration with DeFi Pulse is all about. Joe, whenever you're ready, you can unmute yourself and get started.
Hey everyone, I'm Joseph. Joe, you guys can call me Joe. You'll see me hanging out in the Discord. Feel free to DM me with any questions after today. So I work with the DeFi Pulse team focused on the ESD. Excuse me, I think we're all still stuck on ESD here, on MTSet DAO, and kind of driving integrations with a new kind of approach to these things as being grants managers to drive these integrations and incentivize projects to integrate with the SU. We've spent the last, I think the proposal, since the proposal's been live, we've contacted, I think around 15 to 20 teams to adopt DSU, either integrate it into their platform and in exchange kind of for a grant to bring them in as a community to the MTSet DAO and take, I think our vision is kind of a DAO of DAOs where DeFi protocols own the primitives that are locked inside the protocols. Unlike other stablecoins you guys might know, like USDC, DAI, and others, the protocols where these tokens are locked don't really have a say in the governance of how these assets are managed or what happens on these protocols. And our hope is through these grants that we're giving these protocols, the protocol treasuries, they will actually have kind of a meta governance role to take part in MTSet governance as well. So I think that's really exciting. And maybe kind of a quick overview about the projects that we're kind of close to integrating right now. We've already closed somewhat of a small deal, but with an up-and-coming protocol called CVI, which are building a crypto volatility index. And in a couple of weeks, we should see them spin up DSU LP pools, CVI, GH. I saw that question. Crypto volatility index. That's kind of the acronym for that. Yeah, so they'll be spinning up a DSU pool, and as well as being able to buy the volatility token with DSU. We are in very close conversations with the Rari team to spin up a fuse pool managed by the MTSet DAO. That's really exciting. We've got that is waiting on the Uniswap pools that the Equilibria team is working on and actually have live right now. We're talking with Ruler Protocol. We're talking with Unstable, with Olympus, and as soon as we figure out the Chainlink Oracle feeds, then comes all the large lending markets like Aave, Cream, and others. After the lending markets come online, we can kind of talk to layer 2 protocols that depend on these integrations like Barnbridge, Yearn Vault, or anything, or anyone that can kind of create a yield strategy from this. Kevin, I'm not sure if you can comment on this, but I know that you guys might be able to spin up a proposal for CRV rewards to the DSU pool, like the DSU 3 CRV pool. If that happens, we're already working on proposals for Yearn and Convex to build vaults on that as well. As soon as the UniV3 pools actually come online, we are in talks already with the Visor team to create LP strategies for these pools as well, to kind of leverage up and make these LPs a bit more, make the books a bit deeper. What we're really kind of working on too is a Polygon strategy or a layer 2 strategy, which right now is kind of Polygon focused, I would say, just because there's protocols that are live. We've talked to DAO, which is a Polygon native stablecoin, and having DSU part of what they call an anchor, where you can swap another stable for their native stablecoin MAI at $1 to help with arbitrage, as well as a MAI DSU pool on Polygon, incentivized by their native token. After that, we're also talking with Impermax and QuickSwap to also get leveraged LPing on L2. One really interesting primitive that we are looking forward to, might take a few months though, is the Rari Capital team are working on something called Nova, which would potentially, from what we understand from the team, we'll be able to mint and redeem DSU on different layer 2s without actually going back to L1 or having the team launch these contracts on different L2s and kind of manage different capital stacks and all that. So we're really excited about that one. Honestly, it's kind of a bit far out, but yeah, that's kind of maybe a quick overview of the integrations that we currently have. There's obviously a long list, but I think as soon as we start getting the ball rolling and we see more TVL in aggregate, we could start kind of tackling bigger and bigger fish.
Very, very, very cool. That's a lot. That's like a laundry list. I tried to just get a couple of the things that you said down into one comment, and then I just had to write etc. because there was too many things that are coming in the pipeline. Very exciting stuff. Very stoked, and cannot wait to see what the DeFi Pulse has up their sleeve that they don't even want to talk about yet. And okay, so cool. I want to move on to Louis, and then Kay Brizzle and Joe, if you can hang out. I think we're going to come back to you all for some community questions. I got a couple DMs of questions and some people in the chat asking some stuff and seeing what exactly is going on. So let's move on to the man, the myth, the bearded legend. Not me, Louis. We're going to move on to Louis here. Louis with an update about the SN2 team and exactly what it is we're doing.
Yeah. Hey everyone. Yeah, good to be back on one of these calls. It's nice to kind of engage with the community in this forum. Yeah, I mean, for the last however many months, we've kind of been continuing along in the background. I know things have been a little bit quiet in the Discord and in the community, but we've been working on a few different things. The things that you see now in terms of version 2. We built out the version 2 web app. Worked with the ESS team to get the contracts tested and deployed on the mainnet. We've done a lot of documentation, some governance facilitation throughout those months, and also a little bit of community management. And you know, we're pretty kind of standard as a team. You know, we kind of roll through and do our job in terms of those different responsibilities, and we'll continue to do them kind of into the future. I mean, we're here to support, you know, Kevin's team, Joe's team in all of the different kind of aspects that they need. If that's integrations, getting stuff up on the website, bug fixes, anything like that. We're here to provide support and really kind of facilitate the use of DSU and ESS amongst DeFi protocols. Yeah, so kind of boring update, but yeah, we're still here. We're still chugging along.
It's funny. It's a boring update, but it's like a boring update that talks about thousands of hours of work that we've been doing over the past like 4 or 5 months to make sure that we can come back and be stronger than ever. So tons of work has been done in the background. Louis has been grinding his absolute ass off, making sure that everything actually functions and works correctly. And so let's open it up to some questions from the floor. I lost a couple of questions above, so if you want to copy and paste them back to where they are, if anybody wants to raise their hand, happy to call on people and see what exactly they have. I have a question here from GH, which is, Since the protocol is ready, what will Equilibria be doing? Getting new protocols to adopt DSU, question mark. And you kind of answered this, but if you want to layer in some details there, Kev, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I can give a little bit more specific examples here, because I was very high level with my description. Whenever there's a new integration, a lot of times there's some code that needs to be written. Either there's like a small feature that needs to be added, or there's a bridge contract needs to be written. Right now, we're working on setting up Uniswap V3 incentives, which we're actually the first major protocol to use. So there's a lot of research that had to be done in figuring out how they've actually set them up. And we actually had to write a small smart contract just to set them up. They're a little bit harder to deal with than your standard ERC20 staking program. So it's just like a lot of little things like this for each integration, just enabling features. There'll be future code cleanups. MVSet's currently on version 5 of Solidity. We want to eventually get it up to 8. We're doing something similar with Compound right now. So yeah, upgrades, features, and then the big thing is once our team gets going, we'll actually be building whole protocols. And in these protocols, if there is a need for a stablecoin as like a system collateral or a reserve asset or something, like we will be using DSU obviously as well, just like we would use Compound if we need the lending market. Yeah, kind of both of those things.
Great, awesome. Any other questions? I saw a couple, but I think most of them were already answered by either people in the chat or by people during their presentations. Any other questions from the community? Any comments, concerns, whatever you got, throw it at us. Well, that's why we're here. Plans to move beyond USDC alone as the primary reserve asset, basically like a basket like DAI, a basket of DAI, USDT, whatever. That's kind of beyond. Oh, did I freeze? Damn it.
Yeah, I think he's frozen. Does Kevin, do you want to take that?
I can take a stab with this one. Yeah, so the problem with baskets of stablecoins is you're kind of, instead of one asset's risk, you have all of the assets risk kind of bundled up together. In traditional assets, if you diversify, it does reduce risk, but you want your stablecoin always equal to $1. So it doesn't really matter if you depeg by 2 cents or 50 cents, it's still depegging. So it's actually much riskier to use a basket of fiat stablecoins in this case. So that's kind of reason number one why we chose one to start with. And to narrow down further, we can't use DAI because DAI is not stable. It's a volatile, relatively speaking, volatile like synthetic stablecoin. And so we need to use one of the actual like fiat stablecoins. So that kind of leaves us with USDC, USDT, a couple others. Of those, USDC is at least like in our opinion the most stable, trusted, least likely to break. So that's why we're going with that one. That being said, all these can be changed via governance. These can be upgrade, feature vision. So if there ever comes a time when that's not true anymore, it can be switched fairly easily. So that's kind of the thinking behind that.
Cool. Thank you so much, Kevin. Any plans on integrating with Olympus DAO? I'm pretty sure that was actually mentioned, right?
Yeah, so we're actually in talks with Olympus. We've already drafted the proposal and the partnership team is kind of reviewing a draft there. Olympus is one of the conversations that are moving along quite well. I did see a question above, which kind of applies to Olympus and all other protocols about timelines, about how long these integrations will take. This depends on each protocol and how their governance process works. We are pushing through the governance processes as fast as possible, I guess. We're trying to kind of manage these integrations as individual projects. And Olympus has there's actually a two-way potential partnerships with Olympus, because they are also building a liquidity bond treasury tool for project in the space. This is something that they want to actually bring and propose to the MTSet DAO, so that there might be a proposal from them as soon as they're ready to share it on our forum, on the MTSet forums. Yeah, but like an own DSU pool would be really, really interesting. As soon as we get the go ahead from the partnership team, that'll be live on their platform.
Cool, killer. Thank you so much. Next, we had, what are some additional utilities that can potentially be added to ESS outside of governance? Tim, do you want to clarify a little bit what you mean there? I'm a little confused on what exactly the question's asking for. Someone had to choose, so we can go to the next question from GH. Thanks, GH. You've submitted like 5 questions, and you're super active in the chat. I don't know if I know your Discord name too, but thank you. If someone had to choose between DSU and Frax, why would they prefer DSU? I'm not too clear on the differences between them. This is definitely something that, yeah, there you go.
I think I can maybe take this one.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, when you're kind of looking at different stable coins, when you're integrating it into a protocol, there's kind of a lot of different factors that you have to have, or risks that you have to factor in. And, you know, the amount of dependencies that your protocol has is kind of the amount of smart contract risk that's involved. So you'd ideally want to go for something which is the simplest and is able to hold its peg and is kind of, you know, has the ethos of DeFi kind of baked in. And so I think with version 2 of MTSet, I think DSU kind of fits that goal, where it's kind of a risk minimized, you know, perfectly stable, liquidatable stablecoin that's pegged to the US dollar or USDC at this point. And, you know, something like Frax is a different system. They have, you know, a lot of different kind of moving parts within it. It's fractionally backed and those types of things. So if you were to choose between the two, I mean, for me, if I was building a project, something that was simple and stable would be where I go. And that's why I would choose DSU.
Killer. Thanks, Louis. Let's see here. Listing on CoinMarketCap. I know that's something that we're working on. We just got CoinGecko fixed, I think, yesterday. Is that right? And I know that's
yeah. I had to. Yeah, sorry. I just had to spin up an API for them so they could pull the balances and stuff.
No worries. Killer. 1-to-1 collateralized is my favorite difference. Yeah, for sure. 1-to-1 collateralized is Joe's favorite difference, and mine too. It definitely makes it a little bit easier to swallow. All right, folks. I don't see any other questions. I wanted to try and keep this to half hour. CoinGecko doesn't show market cap. It says question mark. Okay, cool.
Yeah. The reason that's the case is because I think they have a volume threshold, and they're pulling the feed for ESS from a pool that isn't incentivized yet, so it doesn't really have too much depth or volume. And I think they have the correct one on DSU. So once we get the incentivization programs up, we should see a little bit more volume, and the market cap should pull through. Yeah. So that's coming relatively soon. And we'll have a governance vote on that because we need to set up the incentivizers. And actually, that'll be a good test for the new governance module that we have. Previously, it was kind of split between Snapshot and the kind of custom governance that was on V1. But now we're using Governor Alpha, which is, I think, Compound's old governance system. We might upgrade that in the future, but we'll run through setting up the incentivizers on that, and we'll let everyone know when the vote's on.
Killing. Awesome. All right, I do want to keep it under a half hour just because I know everybody has places to be and things to do. And I also want people to actually watch the community call on YouTube. And if it's an hour, people are just not going to watch it. So thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Any plans on a podcast episode? Good question. Yeah, at some point. I have a podcast out there for those of you that listened to it a while ago. I would love to get some guests on there and do another episode again, just to explain what V2 is and all that stuff. That'd be awesome. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for being patient. Thank you to everybody from the team that came. Linda, thank you for dropping by as well. Louis, Joe, Kevin, thank you so much for all of the information for our community. And to the community, thank you so much for being engaged, asking questions. Make sure you're in the Discord. If you don't follow us on Twitter right now, please make sure you follow us on Twitter. Look forward to seeing you all again soon. And I will be active on the Discord. I know everybody else in here is too. So if you have any questions, just drop us an @ or go ahead and DM me and I'm happy to answer your questions. All right, friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good Monday.
Bye.